You're listening to X-Posure on Radio X. I'm John Kennedy, and that is Arctic Monkeys with There'd Better Be a Mirrorball. It's the opening song on the brand new album, The Car, and I'm very pleased to say that sat with me here in the studio is Alex Turner and Matt Helders from Arctic Monkeys. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Good to be here.
It's great to have you both here. Thanks so much for coming in. And the album is fantastic. It's luxurious. And I'm very pleased and excited that we're going to be able to play the whole thing with you talking us through it track by track. And there's so much to talk about. Recorded in 3 different places. I'm trying to work out the best way to approach this. There's this kind of narrative, the arc of creation, as it were. So recorded at Butley Priory in Suffolk, but then also recorded in Rack Studios and also at Le Fret in Paris. And was there a demoing process before all of that?
Yeah, there was the obligatory one of those.
Is that done alone on your own, or is it
sometimes
done with everybody?
Matthew and I were together in that, and sometimes I think there was a moment probably where I was with each of the...
Yeah, you went around everybody individually.
Yeah.
Before we assembled.
Right, so we went around the band and kind of showed them some ideas.
Some ideas from them and showed them some of my things, so there was that. That was before last summer.
Yeah. With There'd Better Be a Mirrorball, the opening song. So how did this start?
With the introduction. Classic way to start.
It is. But there's so much going on in the song, isn't there?
But no, that was the first thing that was written for the record. I think that I really had the feeling was worth following. Yeah, but I suppose it was just that's all it was at that time. I suppose it's a minute long or something. It's it's sort of. Feels like a theme or something possibly, and then the discussion became, I suppose, about how to wrangle that into a pop song, which I think by the end of the song it feels like you've arrived in that territory.
Yeah, and it sets up the album so beautifully, doesn't it? It tells us what we're gonna hear in a way, what to expect. Possibly.
I think so. Even just the intro does that for me. I think, and all I think that was really the cue, so to speak, for everything that came after that. Within that song, but also. Everything else on the record kind of had to be able to hang out with that. Yeah. With Mirrorball, that was that.
And I love those stabs that come just before the vocal comes in. So, you've got those kind of bits, and when you're thinking of these ideas, how are you making a note of them? How do you remember these ideas in order to then share them with the rest of the band and communicate them?
I suppose over the last 10 years or so, the writing process, or part of the writing process, has taken place in a room that is closer to a recording studio than it is a rehearsal space. And I suppose the time before AM, there wasn't really that much of writing in a room like that. It was I'd write a song and we'd work it out in a rehearsal room or something. Certainly Suck It and See, that record was, done. That process was kind of, we did that one almost excessively like that. But in AM, I think it started to change, and maybe because we rented a space at that time to rehearse in that was also a studio. So and then I think started to make recordings while we were writing, and that's something that we've kind of continued to do on the more recent records. So how do you capture the ideas? Yeah, just on some of those recording devices in that room.
Yeah,
most of the time. Yeah.
So is it just on piano, or are you using, synths and other things to kind of colour them? I'm just thinking of all these amazing string arrangements that I know that you have composed, Alex, for this record.
Yeah, that was later on down the line with that stuff. But I think for the in the early stages, it's pretty like there have been times when you would colour it in a bit more in the demo, but I don't remember. I think this time it was a bit more piano, bass, drums, guitar in the demo.
Yeah,
a couple of them written on acoustic guitar this time, and yeah. So
because I'm curious to know at what stage of development they would have been at when you get to Butley Priory and you're all there in this residential studio, hanging out, having fun together, and recording together, and we hear this sumptuous sequence of music that is augmented by all sorts of elements, be it the string section and all these other sounds. How much of that would you have been aware of when you're recording at Butley Priory? No.
Well, not the arrangements came after that. I think maybe there started to be some ideas about what some of those lines might look like during the
string
section. Yeah. But before that, there was some sketches of some of the tunes, like rough recording wise. But yeah, I think really the sound of the band came to it during that session last summer. Yeah, that was what that one was all about.
Yeah, so there could be recordings of the band performing these songs without all that other stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yes, we could have exercised some restraint. There was an off ramp and we missed it.
But there's a different kind of restraint in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't there? Because in a way, it just seems as if maybe when you were there all together playing, that you're kind of trying to play for the song, all those temptations to then when the four of you in a room and go into default mode of kind of starting to rock out or something like that. It's a very different beast to the one that creates these songs that we're hearing tonight on this album.
I think so. I mean, I think that there is a version of that, the other side of that band in there, I suppose, but it's not on constantly all the time. It sort of drifts in and out, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's that session, and then there's quite a long period after that where we were having, making them kinds of decisions about what goes where in the sort of edit of the whole thing.
Yeah, because I think that in terms of recording, these aren't that old, these recordings. If you kind of started recording only last summer, as in summer 2021, that's not that long ago, really. So they're still quite fresh, and then all the treatments after that are all quite fresh too.
So like the finished product, didn't probably come about until 6 months ago or something.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's October now. I've lost track, but
earlier this year,
in
effect, earlier in 2022. And with the video, there's the film of the band in the Mirrorball video. Is that where you were recording, or is that somewhere else?
There was some footage that we shot when we were at the studio last summer, not with the intention of it becoming anything like that, of course, but that eventually worked out that way accidentally. Some of that is there, some of it's in Le Fret when we were doing the vocals, and
so that gives us an idea of what it was like and where you were, because the two films that have come out so far, they're so great. They kind of really take us into the world of this album, I think. And they really make me want, or they make me hope that there's a film for every song on the album, because it would be lovely to be in this world with you. It just feels right. It seems to reflect and match the mood of these songs as well.
It sometimes feels like the record is trying to be a film or something, but then sort of turning back halfway and deciding that It's just a record.
It does feel like that because listening to all the songs, trying to work out, where are they set? Who are these people in them? What kind of lifestyle do they lead in a way? If we think about Arctic Monkeys material going right back to the beginning, you always take us somewhere and you always put us in a setting, and you always kind of create a cast of characters that we kind of relate to and feel akin to in some way. And this seems like a different set of people. Again, it's an intriguing world that, I love listening to and trying to unravel and trying to work out just where are they? Because in my mind, especially with the kind of colours of the videos and stuff, it's almost as if it is a film, in the past, and it's a kind of classic Hollywood or maybe a classic French film in the 50s or 60s, and it has this great kind of feel that you're somehow getting a window into another world that is a different kind of world that is actually the same as well, because people are going through emotional turmoil or little things,
right?
As well as seeming as if they're part of a big luxurious world of hotels and country houses or something.
When I'm listening to music, I don't feel as though I do. And this is not a criticism at all, but I don't feel myself trying to work it out, or if I do, I'd probably like back away or something. I think I suppose there's different ways to work things out, aren't there? But I definitely feel as if when I start sort of, and this is, if you start to understand, trying to understand why a piece of music is making you feel a certain way, I'd almost feel like it's like too late by that point or something.
Yeah, yeah. No, I guess I'm not trying to analyse it, to unravel it, and spoil
that is
it.
why we're here.
No,
let's get into it.
yeah. But I love the mystery of it all, and I'm just wondering where you're thinking, and what you're thinking when you're conjuring up these worlds.
Well, I'll work on the bite-sized answer to that.
Yeah, I like that idea. So There'd Better Be a Mirrorball is followed by I Ain't Quite Where I Think I Am.
It was almost going to be There Bedding in a Mirrorball, which is not without merit. Is it too late?
We could change that.
You could change it on your set list as you tour the world.
Too late.
Yeah. But the musical references on this record are really exciting. I think there's a lot of soul on this record, and I think this next track kind of illustrates that. It has these brilliant kind of funky guitar licks that I could hear on an Isley Brothers record or an Al Green record or a Shuggy Otis record.
There may have been a mention of that some of those sounds.
It's brilliant. I love it. And who gets the pleasure of playing those parts?
Yeah, that's
the wah lick.
I did the wah lick. You would call it a lick, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's if there's a lick, then that's it.
Yeah. And is there a competition? Like, do you and Jamie fight over
who gets to do the fun bits?
No, there was no licking competition.
I love those bits in this song. They're kind of bits. That are those.
And no one's fighting over that one because everyone gets to do it.
Yeah. Do you? Who's doing the vocals on that? That kind of. It sounds like it could be a choir of angels or a gang of Arctic Monkeys or
a gaggle.
When we enthusiastically saying "wah."
Yeah, it's simple stuff, really.
When
we do it live, though, it's all hands on deck for that one. I think to get the point across.
Yeah. And have you done this song live?
Yeah, the first one we did live actually before the first one that came together.
And how's it feeling doing these songs?
It's good. It's the feeling of them getting better as we go along is nice. It's nice to know you can still improve, and because some of them are like a bit of a challenge to pull off live, and you want to do it justice, obviously. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and I guess in some ways, this song lyrically kind of this helps conjure up that world I'm thinking of on a jet boat, and because you talk about spotting an island,
oh, yeah.
and I'm thinking,
I see. It feels a bit like it's fancy.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, kind of.
Right,
It's
okay.
Luxurious.
like
Coming across.
like James Bond going from one Caribbean island to another,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, let's leave him out of it.
Yeah. But this is, I'm imagining you now, Alex. Now that you've got your sunglasses with you, you're on the boat with your sunglasses on, looking for the island ahead.
Yeah.
That could be one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
What other musical ingredients were going on then, apart from these funky guitar licks?
It was a lot of different things before it was this song. It definitely wasn't a sort of wake up, bolt upright in the middle of the night and reach for a dictation device sort of scenario. It was kind of like
Worked on it.
hammered out.
Yeah.
So I think it does feel a bit disjointed, even in its current form. But yeah, sort of, I feel like it gets away with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that almost creates a mood of its own, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is another
Well,
layer
yeah.
of the mystery. I think there's a lot of different layers of mysteries on these tracks, which I find really, really enthralling. Is the best word to
I'm delighted.
use. And we're all going to listen to it now. So this is Arctic Monkeys with I Ain't Quite Where I Think I Am on X-Posure Radio X. It is Arctic Monkeys on X-Posure Radio X with Sculptures of Anything Goes. I'm John Kennedy, and with me are Matt Helders and Alex Turner from the band to give us some insight into the new album, The Car, which has just come out. And Sculptures of Anything Goes is an intriguing phrase because I think of Anything Goes being the song, or is it a musical as well? And what are these sculptures, Alex?
Does one of the Indiana Jones movies start with a version of that?
No.
I think so.
Possibly. I don't know.
I think there might be something about that
Yeah.
in there.
As the music unfolds, this is a different world, I think, for Arctic Monkeys on this song. It has a different kind of atmosphere. Mm. It's almost a kind of cold wave or industrial post-punk or something.
I think, that was the origin of it. Is this sound that we hear at the start?
Mm. What is that sound?
It's a drum machine through a Moog synthesizer, and that's really not my department. But Matthew and Jamie have more of aptitude for that.
Yeah.
So would that
side
have
of
been
things.
something that came out of being at Butley Priory?
This was before that. Jamie had kind of wired this thing up and made this sound, and I wrote a song around the thing. So I don't know, maybe the title of the song was sort of the name of that sound or something. But I think like the last one we were describing, it wandered away from that and back towards it over a period of 18 months or something. It
came back to what it is now.
It came back to like a sort of improved version of the like sort of prototype sound that he'd made a year or so before. But at a moment there was a version of it where there was probably no synthesizer or anything, and I don't know. Yeah, realised that you kind of had it right in the first place, I suppose.
Because there's this point as the song continues, I think, where you start drumming along to the drum machine.
Yeah, because there's like the beginning bit sounds the way it does because it's going through the Moog, and then when the song like starts to kick up a bit, it's like the drum machine how it would sound without the Moog, basically. So it gradually gets there and like it kicks up a gear for that reason, and
The drumming's really interesting on this album because it's conjuring up a certain kind of thing, and it's you respond to the way the songs move in a really interesting way. No, and is that difficult or is that easy? No, especially when you were recording, because did you have a sense of what you were drumming along to? No, because obviously you had no idea that these strings were going to be added necessarily, or because there's different ways of recording, aren't there? So sometimes when you hear an album laden with strings that might be Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald or Nat King Cole, they were recording in a room surrounded by 100 people, with the drummer and the singer all doing it at the same time, which I don't think was how you were recording.
No, apart from there are bursts of things in the studio last summer where we did all get in a room and played. Sometimes all played the same thing, but it wasn't ever for the length of a song. It's all just kind of like these fragments,
moments. Yeah.
So there probably is in sculptures. In fact, like there's all the synthesizer stuff running through it, but at a certain moment the band come in just and I remember doing takes of that where we were all in the room just playing this part, but it was certainly put together more like that than all standing in a room together.
But you all do stand in a room together and at various different points along the evolution of the recording and the development of the song, which is interesting, because it's just trying to work out the different frames of references for you all, and how do you approach each song and each step of the recording. And in the early days it would have been easy. It's like, right, we want to be this rock band and we're going to do this, and it's all quite straightforward, whereas here you've got some really big ideas that you need to realise, and that's a kind of challenge in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, if I remember correctly, there probably wasn't, it was the sort of an inverted version of what it is now, in that the songs existed in a live show. Not that you'd even call it that then, but they belonged in the on a stage sort of thing. Which that doesn't sound right either, does it?
But they were going to
belong on the stage. But you know what I mean, yeah. And then the recording of them was almost, not quite an afterthought, but it was definitely that way around. It's like, well,
yeah. It's an interesting challenge for you though, Matt, because say like with Sculptures of Anything Goes, in a way it reminds me, say, of Portishead around their third album, when you've got Jeff Barrow, using drum machines a lot, but also doing his extraordinary drumming as well. And we know, Matt, that you can drum in whatever way you want to, be it in a massive rock way or these subtle soul stylings that you're doing here.
And it is like at the rock guy is easier as well, and it's to the naked eye appears probably less technical, but in actual fact it is more of a challenge to do what was going on this record, and like more considered in a way, and it's fun to be able to achieve it as well. Like it's like I notice more of a difference when this kind of playing is good versus when doing like one of those fast heavy ones is good. Like there's more room for improvement. Like the subtleties of it can be like, more of a big deal.
Yeah. I always get the impression that you like that challenge. You like trying to approach things and work out, how do I need to react to this? Be it with whoever. Right, because you've played with lots of different people as well. In different situations.
Put me in any room.
Yeah. Did you know, Matt, that you were recently voted number 1 in a poll on Johnny Vaughan's show? Here
I did. Yeah, my dad told me.
The Ringos, it was called.
Is that what it was?
And listeners voted for their favourite drummer, and Matt Helders was number 1.
Yeah, I got down to me and Rennie, and I did disagree with the result, but that's just because I'm a humble guy.
It's a great result, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Congratulations.
Very well deserved. I wish I could now hand you a prize. No,
Actual award would be nice.
Yeah.
What have they?
Come on, Johnny, sort it out. Yeah.
What would that look like?
I'm not sure what a Ringo would look like. I mean, we know what the corn-flavoured snack looks like. Do they still exist? There was a Ringo popcorn flavored
Was
snack
that?
that was like an onion ring shape.
Oh, that'd be all right.
Really?
Yeah.
Golden onion ring.
Yeah. Jet Skis on the Moat is the next song, and with a title like that, you see, I think with Sculptures of Anything Goes, and you talk about retired spies, and with Jet Skis on the Moat, this is why I've got this idea of a highfalutin lifestyle, and also these kind of film images, because you mentioned CinemaScope, and I think that's why. And every time, I'm envisioning you all on jet skis.
Yeah,
You and me both.
Yeah. Because that is your lifestyle now, isn't it?
yeah. Specifically on the moat around the castle that we
The
all
Arctic
live
Monkeys
in.
cast.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
There's a cartoon series in that, possibly.
I think that the music for this song was written with Tom Rowley, who's been playing with us for a while now. And he played it in the last record and on this one. And a couple of the songs on here, he wrote some of the music with us. And Jet Ski, this is one of them. And he sent me the verse with the guitar on it, and on New Year's Day a couple of years ago, and the first thing that I sang to it was Jet Skis on the Moat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does that come from? Because it's not from personal experience, that's what you're saying.
You could just clear this up. You've never ridden a jet ski on a moat.
Or on a not moat.
Yeah, right. So not on the open sea, not on a lake.
Well, I can speak for those of us that have. It's a great time.
Yeah.
You have jet skis.
Oh, I love jet skis. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, where's
Not on
your
a moat,
favourite?
again, not on a moat.
Where's your favourite place to jet ski, Matt?
Don't know if I've got a favourite, but most recently I did it in Miami. So
Right.
enough about me.
Yeah, that's
I
so
did
cool.
jet ski.
I
So
imagine
Matt is
it's
kind of living the
thrill.
lifestyle, aren't you? Matt, and,
Yeah.
and I think maybe
Yeah,
Alex
I am.
is kind of living it through you, Matt.
He just watches and then writes it down.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
On New Year's Day.
Yeah, yeah.
New Year's Day, no rest for the wicked.
And I mean, this has a lovely kind of gentle feel to it, this song. But again, those little tiny funky guitar licks are in there. This lovely soul
Keep 'em
feel.
down.
Yeah.
But also, interesting word choices like Subutio and a Subutio cloak. I'm familiar with Subutio, the table football game,
Yeah.
that I would have thought was before your time, really. But a Subutio cloak I'm unfamiliar with.
Just in time
Yeah.
for Subutio, I think we were. Yeah, you know the trick that they do with the tablecloth, where they pull it out and all the vase
Stays.
and the bottle of wine and the
The fine china.
and.
But so it's like...
No, I don't know. I was just in this moment thinking about doing that, but with the Subutio and then
wearing
picking
it.
a little cloak out.
Right. So you'd leave all the little players on
Hopefully
the
intact.
table
Yeah.
and the goals,
Yeah.
and maybe if they had a fake crowd as well, they
remember that.
they
love
might
it.
stay on the table.
I'd love a really good Subutio set now.
Yeah, you could.
Gold
there's
accessories,
loads of
couldn't you?
stuff you could
Yeah.
probably-
Here's what I want, that, and then a really good scale electric next to it.
Yeah.
With, again, the crowd.
Yeah, amazing. So
Make
that
your own
trick
ref.
of like pulling the
Yeah.
Subutio and then creating a little cloak.
Be harder to make a cloak out of scale electrics,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
not
You've
taking
never-
anything off the table.
Hopefully.
Nicely done. Is there anything else we should hear about jet skis before we hear the song?
There's other mad stuff out there now like that. What
Things you
what's
can
the
do on
thing where
water.
you like fly?
Yeah,
fly-
like a
you seen
jetpack.
that?
A bit of jetpack on the moat. But
You
yeah.
ever go with that?
I wouldn't do that one now.
You seen that,
It's
John?
control. You know, like,
yeah.
like
the where you kind of hover over the...
yeah, it
water.
fires. It just, yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. You're just flying, aren't you? Iron Man.
Yeah.
And with that image, we're going to listen to the music. This is Arctic Monkeys with Jet Skis on the Moat on X-Posure, Radio X. You're listening to X-Posure on Radio X. I'm John Kennedy, and that is another selection from Arctic Monkeys. It is Body Paint. It is the fifth song on the new album, The Car. This is one everybody will be familiar with, the second single from the record. And here, it's such a rich piece of music. With that beautiful motif that is quite haunting and it's going to be kind of chasing me for days. I'm intrigued to know what is creating that, what that thing that goes round and round.
It's the Moog again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. On the Moog.
So, but you're not happy just to leave it with that. There's all these different kinds of string arrangements. So, of different styles, I think, on this song, even within the whole song. It's like you take us to one world with one set of string arrangements, and then in that kind of middle or bridge or whatever you want to call it, it's got another style again. It's almost like one is kind of maybe Buckmaster Bowie-esque or something from the Ziggy era, and then the other kind of bridge section is more akin to Paul McCartney or George Martin from, say, Eleanor Rigby or Yesterday or something.
Fair
like
enough.
that.
Yeah. I think there's definitely like 3 acts in Body Paint. Obviously, quite. Yeah.
And you've done the string arrangements for this record, Alex.
No, not entirely. No, I was like in the room.
I feel you're going to play this down no matter what happens.
I haven't worked on them before, and I haven't been there for that before. And this time, yes, we got involved. Me and James Ford, the producer, and Bridget Samuels.
You said, Alex, that it's a song of 3 parts in a way, 3 acts. Were they all thought of separately? Or did one flow into another as the...
Absolutely the latter, yeah.
Right.
It's, I think so, yeah. And I think it's just probably through discovering how to link them together musically. Perhaps in the first part of it, or the first act of it, it feels like maybe it's looking more inward than it is in the second part of it. And then we kind of get into I don't know, it feels like it's speaking to someone further away, perhaps. And then I think like the third act sort of just stands up and kicks the stool out on the whole idea.
And was it tricky to realise? Because there's these moments where, say if we talk about drumming again, where the drums and the guitars sound very, Spiders from Mars or so, like say 5 Years or something like that, and it has that interesting thing, and there's these crunchy moments where and then it shifts and goes into that beautiful Beatles-esque passage.
Well, they used to do things like that.
Oh yeah,
I suppose,
completely. No, but I love it works so beautifully. But it's like how do you, you said it kind of evolved naturally in a way as you were exploring the song.
I didn't think until the Buckley session. I suppose the demo of that was a lot more. Yes, there was still the 3 parts, but they all sort of sounded the same. And I wasn't expecting it to have like the different identities to the extent that it ended up having that in the final. Yeah. But I suppose that was probably a decision when we had the demo and recognised that there are 3 parts to it, and then maybe decided to push that. And so, but I didn't expect it to get loud like that at the end until. But I think that the band sort of getting back together in the studio, having not played together for a while, was probably responsible for that. Suddenly wanted to stand up and play a solo and make it distorted again. So, yeah, I guess that's one of the times when like the rock band sort of bubbles up to the surface.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the range of dynamics. It seems to me that you have such a range of dynamics now as a band, especially for your records. To call upon. That you have this rock band. You can do that if you want to. That's there to be employed. But also, if you want to put 2 different kinds of string arrangements into one song, you can also do that. And it's exciting.
I think we're having a go at it. Yeah, we sort of feels like we might be getting somewhere.
Yeah. No, I think it's really exciting because it's almost as if you've explored those different kind of dynamics in the past. Whether you do a ridiculously fast drum solo or start with a big guitar chord or whatever. You've kind of explored those rock options of dynamics. The quiet, loud bit or the full-on approach. And so this is a way of stretching yourselves further, which is exciting.
Yeah, and it's still like revealing itself to us now. I think now we're back. The record's been done. I don't know, a year or whatever now, and we're back and we've been playing songs again, and it's still kind of like, oh yeah, wow, there's something behind there we can, like move it on with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of, it's still going.
It felt like seeing the Reading set. It felt as if, in a way, you'd kind of reached a different place for the band, performing your old songs, your newer songs, in a way that they seemed fresh again, or that you've tweaked them or rearranged them just slightly to make them feel fresh again for you. And the way that you approach your vocals, Alex, just changed it slightly so that you feel happier where you are. It seemed like the band seemed much more, not that you weren't relaxed before, but much more at home with, we're going to do all these songs, we're going to chuck in these other ones as well, and we're going to give you the show, but we're also going to do it in a way that we're happier with now. Now that we're not.
No, I do think there's been we're playing together in a different sort of way, maybe now, which is I think starts with probably working on this record and like the last couple of records, I suppose. But then it's kind of that thing gets transposed a little bit to the old ones, but not to the point where you just like you're only singing the harmony or something. And, like it's subtle, but you're not about to do like a different version of Rich to the Rubble or something. But it just, if it gets a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, it's like I just can't sing that like I did when I was 17. Like, but it's kind of still sort of get away with it. There's like the over 35s version of it still sort of like worth showing up for.
But the great thing is the crowd is full of 17-year-olds who are singing it like you might have sung it when you were 17.
Yeah, they'll do it for you.
Yeah, it's like your band and your music is appealing to successive generations of people, which is amazing.
Remarkable.
Tons of people in those audiences that you've already played to, not even born when you first released those records, and yet they love them with their heart. It's exciting.
It's wild
and amazing, and a testament to the fine band that you are. The Car is the next song, the title track of the album. Is it a title track? Is it seen in that kind of way?
It's one of a few, I think, that mention the car. And I suppose it is. There's no way around it. It's a title track, isn't it?
And also there's a picture on the cover of the album, a photograph of a car in a rooftop car park that I understand you took, Matt.
Yeah, I took it a few years ago. From I was living in an apartment downtown LA for a bit, and that was out my bedroom window, and it was just I took a lot of pictures of that car park, and that was just one that stood out particularly. Something about that car and where it was.
And we probably started calling that picture the car before we started calling the record the car.
I remember like when I like got the scan of the negatives back, and I remember putting them in a folder, and I called it One Car. And then afterwards I changed it to the car.
Working title.
One Car.
And so the others had seen this photograph.
Yeah, I sent it to Al because I was sent it I'd just got like a lens for this camera, and I was like, it was like a different thing a different perspective to what I'd usually used, and I just sent it purely there was no intention around it being involved with the album. I was like, oh, look at this cool photo.
And so that was done a few years ago. It's like, this is what my new lens does.
Basically, yeah.
It's
like
cool.
2000, back in 19, that one.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that image kind of stuck with you all, or was something that...
I think it's been there all the way through and it might be responsible for some of the lyrical ideas in there. Like, there's something vaguely, well, not even vaguely, surveillance about it. Yeah. And there's that idea kind of shows up a few times in some of the lyrics on there, and I feel as if the back of our minds, I think we always expected we would wrap the record up in that picture, and so I think that idea has been in the back of the mind all the way through it, really.
I like the idea that it's your photograph, Matt.
Yeah,
so do I.
Keeping it in-house. No.
Yeah, exactly.
We finally held the record the other day for the first time,
nice.
and really happy with it.
Yeah, it looks great. I bet it'll look good framed. It'll be a good image for a wall.
I've got it on my wall before it was, well, not before it was the cover, but yeah, I've had it on my wall for a bit.
Yeah,
and then I saw, this was in LA, like on End of My Road. I saw the billboard of it. That was a nice thing to see as well.
Did you take a photograph?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just for the family,
Yeah.
And on the back of the record, the track listing looks like a goblet.
Oh yeah, it's shit, isn't it? Yeah.
That's how much time we had. we were aiming for a yin and yang, but we got a goblet.
And the song "The Car," which starts gently and has this. Is this one of the ones that started with acoustic guitar, maybe? Or
The Car, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think this is the most. It's the furthest it goes. The style of this one feels like something we haven't had on a record before, and I think this, we've been playing this one a little bit recently, and I think this is a favourite of the group.
Right, to play it.
Yeah, and anyway, when we did it, just because I think it felt as if we sort of pushed it to there's something that certainly, we haven't been down that road before.
And it kind of, as the song goes on, it kind of develops, and the guitar sounds change and develop.
Yeah,
there's this more. Well, is it an electric guitar?
Yeah, that's. I suppose that's the rock band kind of comes up again, and like. So
and
it's a good. I feel like there's a good arrangement between the arrangement and the rock band.
This is it then. This is The Car. Arctic Monkeys on Radio X. You are listening to X-Posure on Radio X, and that is Arctic Monkeys with Big Ideas. It's from the album The Car, which has just come out. I'm John Kennedy. With me are Alex Turner and Matt Helders, giving us the lowdown on the new record. These big ideas that I've been talking about in a way, and we've got a song called Big Ideas, and there's all sorts of big ideas, from the musics to the words. There's so much going on this record. And here, you seem to be discussing showbiz, or it's like a crooner scenario, or I always get the impression, Alex, that the bits that you like are the writing songs, playing them to people, playing them with your friends, but there's a conflict around the idea that I'm actually in showbiz and that I'm a rock star, and that maybe you all have this conflict. It's something that kind of both you want and desire and have managed to achieve, but at the same time, it's like, isn't it ridiculous? How crazy is this? That's what I get from something like Big Ideas, in a way.
I think there's certain things coming into the lyrics on this one that you would definitely have attempted to shut out of coming into a song in the past. But I don't know if I'd go as far as to say I'm kind of addressing any sort of discomfort within the song. I think it feels more playful than that, possibly. I feel like the first verse almost could be a list of things that, like, the movie producer says on the phone to someone during a day. It's like, it's like, well, that's quite a number to sing. Yeah. Even the ballad of what could have been, I feel like, might be something that character would say, like, when, hits a red light, for instance. But this song, again, the instrumental, the theme, the melody in the instrumental section was the origin of it, and was around for so long. I think that the idea probably came from that, of sort of whatever we were saying in the chorus about this kind of a forgetting out, like the idea had been around that long, that I think that's how we got there. Yeah.
So that line where you say you forget the chorus or whatever it is, I've got it written down.
Yeah, it was almost like there was this. I had this, and again, I think it's like that melody seemed like it had aspirations, perhaps beyond a pop song, and it's kind of the sound of us sort of bullying it back into being a song with a verse chorus thing. seems like a little trade-off between those two ideas, possibly.
Have you ever got to sing with an orchestra? Have you ever got to play with the band and an orchestra?
No.
Do you think that will ever happen?
I don't know if I don't feel like that's what's going on the record, if you know what I mean. Like that. I mean, of course it is, but there are strings on the record, but it doesn't feel like rock band with a string section thing. I think, hopefully. No, in fact, it doesn't. Like we would like, if it, certainly try to approach it, everything having its own space, and so I don't think it's as simply like let's get everybody in and do that thing, but we may find a way at some point, but it's almost like it's all just part of the record, and everything has as much of a place in it as everything else. It doesn't. Yeah. I guess the question wasn't necessarily. It was more, have you had that experience? Because that experience would be quite different. And as you evolve as musicians, it would be quite a different kind of thing to be doing your thing, surrounded by
gang.
Well, you mentioned that
100
Portishead
people
before, didn't you? Obviously, that Roseland gig
thing.
of that they did. I love that record, and that's like a.
It's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll take a shot at it at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, this would be the album to perform in that way. As you say, they are integrated. This is not just an add-on. That this.
I think so.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
But that's why it would be quite interesting to see how it would work. But I mean, it obviously would work. But what an amazing sound it would create.
I think it's definitely something that we're intrigued by trying to. But I think for the moment there's enough to play live with the everything else, but maybe I could totally imagine trying to do some shows that are more sort of
just for that.
Yeah, I think it would be exciting and very special. I mean, it's just more how they record and how you approach recording in that way. Didn't Neil Young do an album a few years ago where he tried to replicate the era when you'd record just using one microphone?
Right.
And so he had a whole kind of orchestra and a choir and stuff, and they're all in this one big space, but they use just one microphone. And so if the singer was going to sing, he'd have to walk up to the microphone and then he'd step away so that you could get everything else recorded. And it's just that idea that that's something that you're tapping into with this record, that it seems to evoke other eras, multiple eras, because obviously these instruments and arranging for strings and piano, etc., that's been used since the invention of these instruments, but it's fascinating to hear how you've combined it here, and whether that experience interests you, or because it might change how you approach it as well.
I think the string. There was an idea for a line on Mirrorball, and it convinced ourselves it was appropriate in the sound of that song, and then it's sort of, well, wait a minute, and then suddenly it's just another part of the sounds and textures that you use to compose the whole thing. So and again, because there was this, we had a period of time after everything was done, so we sort of collected a bunch of sounds and performances from the Butley thing with the band, and we went and did the same in La Frette with the vocals and a few overdubs, and then we had the string section, and then we sort of went and assembled it all, like kind of like an edit, I suppose. Yeah. So
then you could bring in the different elements as you felt were needed.
That's how it went.
Yeah, fascinating.
In a nutshell.
So Hello You is the next song on the car, and I think this could be a single. Is this going to be a single? This should be a single.
A
few different ideas there thrown at you.
It's going to take us back to the top of the charts, John.
Yeah, well, that's where you're always at the top of the charts. aren't you? But tell us about Hello You. I mean, has different elements again. You know, they've got those congas that
there's a bit of percussion
start
going
us
on
off
in there.
there. Lovely light touch of congas, some more funky guitar licks.
This one has been around, was around for a really long time, wasn't it? There was actually a session at the end of 2019.
We did that then. Didn't we? I remember the piano bit that's been flying around for a bit, hasn't it? Yeah.
There's I think there's a keyboard on it.
Oh, that is
Matt
from
played
that.
in this session that we did in 2019.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Still in the verse there. Check it out, folks, if you get a chance.
So that's Matt Helders on
I didn't even
keys.
know that.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So, I mean, that would suggest, for people who have been wondering, now where's the new Arctic Monkeys record? You've been dipping in and out of trying to create one for the last 4
since
years.
we come off tour in 2019, we sort of thought we were going to be like back out by the end of the year. I think we had songs then, like 5 of them or something, and we went and did a session end of 2019, and it just wasn't. I don't know. There's an idea that we'd had when we were on tour of this kind of record that we were trying to make, and by the time we got to the studio, that wasn't there anymore. But there wasn't. We hadn't kind of got to the next place yet either. But Hello You was one of those songs that we did in that session. It wasn't the right version then, it disappeared for a long time, but sort of got brought back towards the end of this. Last summer, kind of got revived.
And what's going on in Hello You? I mean, the Lego Nowhere movie, is it Lego Nowhere?
The Lego Napoleon movie.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. The Lego Napoleon movie. You know, there's Lego Star Wars and Lego everything.
Batman, Lego
Batman.
Movie,
yeah.
I was imagining those guys taking the Napoleon script that Stanley Kubrick never made.
Right. Oh, you're right. Yeah, realising it with Lego.
I think that was maybe something like that, and then they gave it to the Lego guys.
It's something I want to see now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be a Lego Napoleon movie. Hopefully, they're all listening, and the people who produced those.
The good folks down at Lego.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's sort of like there's a bit of that, like in the past you would have left out or anything, I don't know, that felt like it was on the outskirts of being about the creative process or something, sort of probably wasn't welcome in the lyrics of the song. But I guess it's again about, there's a little bit of referencing the idea of having ideas or something, and in that moment, that's the idea, is whatever it says,
But now that you've mentioned it,
Yeah.
you've put an idea out into the world, and it seems like a good one to me. I'm just imagining them trying to put the Lego arm of the Lego minifigure, the hand inside his jacket, and how
would do that.
How would they do that?
There's a Lego shop around the corner.
We've hit a wall already.
But I think they would find a way.
Yeah, that won't be your job to figure out.
And Rawborough Snooker Club, is that a real place that you mention in Hello You?
No, but it's not my fictionalization. It's from there's a film and it's set in a place, and that's the name of the place. Yeah.
Right.
I guess they've taken the name of two things there and put them together.
Yeah. What film is that?
It's called Tread Softly, Stranger.
Right. Is it reasonably contemporary, or is it?
No,
old?
it's right old.
Reasonably old.
Reasonably old. What is it? It's something that you've all watched, or?
I don't think I've seen that, but I've been
It's
aware
something
of it.
that none of us have watched. But there's a connection to my granddad with that film. He was like, I think he ended up getting some work when that film came to shoot.
Right.
In close to where he was living. Yeah.
Right. So he got to work with the film people.
Yeah.
Which is how you.
I think
know
I
about
mentioned it in another song before.
I just thought that then you did, didn't you? Yeah.
So these references are rooted in different things, aren't they? No, it's quite interesting.
Occasionally.
With even like
got the
family
receipts.
connections. You got the receipts. Excellent. We're going to listen to Hello You now. This is Arctic Monkeys with Hello You on X-Posure Radio X. It is Arctic Monkeys with Mr. Schwartz on X-Posure Radio X. It is the 9th song on the new album The Car, which has just come out. And tonight, 2 of Arctic Monkeys have been talking us through it track by track, Alex Turner and Matt Helders. Mr. Schwartz, what's going on here? Is there a Mr. Schwartz? Who is Mr. Schwartz?
Mr. Schwartz, yeah, he'd appeared in... This is almost the sequel. You know, there was another song we had before in that Lafrette session I was mentioning, which was the first time he cropped up there. Nothing to do with Delmore Schwartz or Brinsley Schwartz.
Poet and the band.
Yeah.
Delmore the poet.
Yeah.
Or writer. Brinsley Schwartz, the band with Nick Lowe in it.
Nick Lowe.
Yeah. Got a kind of Nick Lowe haircut at the moment, I think, Alex, possibly.
All right, yeah, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
I'll
bad
take
thing.
that. I'll take it. Yeah.
But this has the lovely gentle guitar in it, and you've performed this live, have you?
We did it. We did in this gig we did in
New York.
a few weeks ago. Yeah, got that one. Gave that one a run out,
And it worked out.
in extra time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of bossa nova beat or something going on.
Yeah,
Yes.
bit of a woodblock. That bit, yeah. But we didn't do it like that for the thing. Went realised that yet.
I'm loving the fact that people might be intrigued by some of the words that you're using. So subutio earlier, whether there'll be people around the world thinking, what's that? And also dubbing. You referenced dubbing.
Oh yeah.
Smudging dubbing on the shoes.
Yeah.
In Mr. Schwartz, and I don't know whether that's an international.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. Hopefully that's not
How
too
far that goes.
distracting.
No,
Hopefully that doesn't snap anyone out of.
The moment.
Yeah.
No,
I hadn't thought of that.
Because sonically it rolls, doesn't it?
Mm.
Rolls off your tongue.
It's the phonetics, isn't it?
The phonetics, yeah.
Yeah.
Just.
Don't think anyone worry too much.
But it has a groove, doesn't it, Matt? That's what you're saying. And in fact, the whole album, has a kind of certain mood or a certain vibe, or whatever word you want to use to describe it, which is great. When you listen to The Car, you enter the world that you've created here, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Hopefully, that's always something I think we've been trying to do all along, really, and maybe we got a bit closer to that last time, and again here. Hopefully, again, it feels everything's pulling together in the same direction.
Is there a lot of discussion as you
Not, I
work
mean,
through the process?
No, I don't think I don't think excessively so. I think most of this stuff in this process comes down to an instinct at the end of the day, and always has done. And I think we're still listening to the same. It's still the same, that voice inside, that instinct that we were in 2005. So, yeah.
Perfect Sense is the closing song on the album, and you finish with a short one, really. Kind of as we began with Mirrorball, and that kind of was quite long and had this theme at the start and opened up the world that we were going to embrace in The Car. Perfect Sense rounds it off. Kind of, it continues that world. There's these amazing soaring trumpets and these strings, but kind of keeps it short as well.
Yeah, and I think even the creation of that was, by comparison, quite short to the rest of it, and there wasn't this isn't like there's a couple of them I think I described before. We talked about them taking there was a few different permutations of them before they arrived wherever they arrived,
And labouring over it a bit more.
This one is like the closest thing we had to written in an afternoon sort of thing. Kind of really came together quite quickly, and it's probably one of my favourites on there.
And was this one that was written before you went to recording a thing, or was it one that came through around
This was like
the same
right,
time.
yeah, right at the last minute before we had the session. I think, yeah, this was kind of that one that, and wasn't, kind of didn't really think anything of it, and then it became obvious that was when we were putting the track, the whole thing together. Of course, there was maybe another couple of things. There was a thing that we'd always thought was going to be the end, and when it came to that moment, listening through it all, and that song finished, it's like, yeah, press stop there. Like that feels like the way you want to go out.
Yeah, the perfect ending to the album.
Yeah,
with Perfect Sense.
Yeah.
And now you're running around the world for the next few months, kind of non-stop, going to South America and Australia, and then back to Europe, and the demand is extraordinary. Have you been surprised by this kind of reaction?
Constantly surprised.
Yeah.
That people still want to come and watch us. It's great though, yeah. I'm excited for all of that stuff. It's great.
It feels like there's still somewhere to go with it.
Yeah.
In the next year or so,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many more of the songs make it into the set, how they evolve and change, and how you feel about them in a way.
That's it, because I think that you sort of get to know them in a different way the moment you walk out there and sort of put them in the set. So remains to be seen.
Yeah, and it's interesting how songs, connect and take on their own lives. And some of the songs that you do now in your set that were kind of asides back in the day are kind of, one of the songs that, like say 505 or something, that people, are disappointed if you're not including it.
It's quite mysterious, I think, that whole, I don't know
what the rules are for that.
Yeah.
Does the mystery continue to intrigue you? That's one of the reasons why.
Oh yeah, it keeps us on his toes, John.
Well, long may it continue to do so.
Thank you. Yeah,
and for you to keep us on our toes as well, and keep coming back with new surprises and directions. It's really exciting, I think.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
A real pleasure. Thanks for coming in. We're going to listen to Perfect Sense now. This is the last tonight from Arctic Monkeys from the car. This is Perfect Sense on X-Posure, Radio X.
Radio X.